having clarity is having goals. What's the
Hmm.
end game for you?
Hmm.
And just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should keep doing it. So it's about knowing yourself, what's important to you, and what's your must-haves, and it's kind of like dating. What are your must-haves? So it's communicating, for lack of a better word, your value. What do you bring? Who you are, and that's what's like you said. That's what's going to get you hired. People.
All right, welcome back to this episode of the How to Get a Job podcast. And today we're going to be talking about a really important topic, and that is about clarity, confidence, and communication. And that's actually the three C's, and they're not my three C's. Actually, our guest's three C's. And to talk about the importance of clarity, confidence, and communication, I have Lauren Young Derby. She is a career design coach and the founder of Taiki Career Coaching. So, Lauren, super excited that you're here. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm super excited. Look, so you've had your career coaching business for over 6 years. Uh, why career coaching? You know, why are you so passionate about career coaching? Why did you start doing this? Did you Did you grow up wanting to be a career coach?
Yeah, I came out of the womb hoping I'll be a career coach. I thought, hey, I changed career from, baby to a person and all that stuff. Um, no, I actually decided to be a career coach because I had bad experience with a career coach. And so I thought, I can do better than this. Very type A of me. So I went through a 2-year certification training program, and I found myself niching down. You often hear
Yeah.
that with coaches. I actually started as a personal finance coach. So I was like, I'm going to be a career coach for everything, all things career for all people. Then I became career change. Then I became career change for women. Then became career transition, and now moving into my career design era, as Beyonce would call it.
And so, what do you mean by career design era? Like, walk me through what that is.
Sure. The thing about most of the women I came up with it based on my clients and the women I've spoken to, it's about being intentional with how you move in your
Mm,
career. Because a lot of the times we just fall into jobs. Even when you
yep.
apply to them, we're like, I just need a job. I got this job.
Yep.
I've done well,
Yep.
and you just progress up, but you aren't really moving with intentionality. You're reacting instead of being proactive. So, what I'm moving into starting next week is being a career design coach instead of just career change coach. Because career change,
Yep.
obvious, you're changing careers, but with career design, you don't necessarily have to change careers. You just have to change how you move in your career.
Yeah. No, and that makes a lot of sense because I think you're absolutely right. I think we're very reactive versus proactive about our career, and I think it comes down to the way that most people are applying for jobs. Like, and I see this. I've been working with students and helping them get jobs for over 10 years now, and it's what I see the most common. When I see most common, I'm saying like 90+% of students have what I call a shotgun approach of job searching, which is the spray and pray approach, right? I'm going to apply to every single company. I meet the minimum qualifications without really taking the time to understand is like, hey, how is this company going to help me reach my goals 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the line? And you need to see that, especially when you're starting out. And I know that you work with more mid career professionals. Um, all these experiences generate these critical experiences that allow you to have a smoother or reach those ultimate career goals. And and in my program, so I know that you have your three C's: clarity, confidence, and communication. In my program, I have a 5-step process, very similar. It's clarity, visibility, networking, interviewing, and then salary negotiation, right? And most people that don't work with a career coach, the mistake is that they skip clarity, right? They're just so quick to just want to start applying, get their resume. They think that it's like resume, apply, interview, job, and you skip clarity and don't take the time. So when we were talking about, hey, what should we talk about, and what should we talk about in the podcast? When you shared your three C's, I was like, I think that's brilliant to talk about because you it's such a clear 3-step process, but clarity is skipped on. And so, what advice do you have on finding clarity for job seekers?
One of the things I always have to push my clients to do is to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Unrealistic, realistic, unrealistically realistic. So yes, you may like, I want a job that makes some amount of salary. Think, like you said, think about having clarity is having goals. Like, what's the
Hmm.
end game for you?
Hmm.
And the end game can't just be, I want to make $150,000, because you can make $150,000 any number of ways. It's how do you want to get there? What kind of company do you
Yep.
want to work for? What's important for you to have in terms of benefits, in terms of do you want nowadays hybrid, or do you want remote work? Do you want to be in the office? So you have to think about all these logistical things. And so it's about knowing yourself even before you start applying for that job, because you have a job that you're like, I really enjoy working remotely. I want a job that's 100% remote, and you get a job and they're hybrid at best. You're not
Yep.
going to be happy. So it's about knowing yourself, what's important to you, and what's your must haves, and it's kind of like dating. What are your must haves and what are your nice to haves, kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think it's funny you say kind of like dating. I think you're right. I think imagine if your dating strategy was to go on a dating app, right, and just hit right and every single person regardless, right? Like you're just going right and you're just hoping to get match, and a match, the date, your first date is the first interview, and you're just trying to make it work with every person that matches. But if you have a list, so if you have a criteria what you're looking for, right? Like you, then it's the same thing with a company. Do you have a criteria what you're looking for? And that's gonna change, right? Like I remember, so there's this exercise that I have our clients do, and it's like in our clarity workbook. And if you're listening to this, by the way, just message me on LinkedIn and say clarity workbook, and I'll send it to you. But it's one of the exercises is essentially saying, okay, what rank your priorities, and so you say, okay, compensation, location, industry, work-life balance, upward mobility, like mentorship, like your first boss, because we take that for granted, right? Um, paid time off, work from home. So there's all this criteria, and you rank it, right? And every time you apply, right, I encourage you to keep track of your applications. Don't just apply, rank how this company looks into that, right? And so I remember when I came out of college, my top three were location. I wanted to stay in Florida. My wife still had a couple of years in college, so I wanted to stay in college, wait for her. The third one was like upward mobility. Like, was I going to gain experience? There's some roles were very boring and very repetitive, and compensation. I didn't care if I was working 80 hours a week. Like, I didn't care because I was right out of college. Like, I was willing to put in whatever I needed to do. And so that's why even though I had like 10 job offers when I graduated college, I chose PepsiCo because it allowed me to stay in Orlando, so location. I was in a management training program that was designed for me to gain massive critical experience on managing a team and running a team and running a multi-million dollar company within the back end of a Fortune 500 company. So massive amount of experience. And three, it had great compensation. Now, 6 years later, I left PepsiCo to start my own business because my priorities had changed, right? I was no longer looking like for the location. It didn't matter as much because I can now have my own business and do this. I wasn't motivated by money because I knew that if I started a business, I could build out my own. So it's like my priorities have changed. But because I knew what I was looking for, PepsiCo served me really well. Like I was there for 5 years. I loved it. It was everything that I expected, but I had clarity on that. So we'll love to hear your perspective and advice and how you advise your clients to gain clarity, or what are some things that you think they should do before they submit their first application.
It's funny. My experience coming out of college is the exact opposite of yours. I actually had managed somehow to, not somehow, I applied. I got a paid internship in my U.S. senator's
Mm-hmm.
office, and I didn't have a lot of people advising me, so I didn't. I'm a first generation college student, and if I knew then what I knew now, I'd be so rich. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really understand the importance of networking, or ask,
Yep.
like, I didn't understand the Wellesley network. It's where I went to school. And so I didn't know that I probably should have stayed, because I left because I'm like, well, come from a working class, I need to make more money than what I'm making here. And so I left this very prestigious internship, because I was like, well, I have to make money. And that was my priority. And I didn't even go, I was just making more money than I was making as a paid intern. We know
Yeah.
how much paid interns get paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so yeah, so I just kind of, what you call spray and pray.
Yeah.
That's what I
Spray and pray
did.
approach. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so I was kind of like flitted around, and it was odd that it wasn't until I had a bad coaching experience I started looking at coaching, and I realized one of the things that were so important to me, even from the beginning, uh, high school at least, probably before, was helping others, serving others, and
Yep.
it's actually in my college's logo, motto, not logo, motto. And so when I really thought about what's important to me, I'm like, I want to help women. I want to help women excel, be the best they can be. Women like me who are ambitious and driven, type A. I can do type B too. Just need to do your assignments when I give them to you. But who want to step into their greatness and own it. And that's kind of the confidence, because like I kind of just did. I was like, I somehow got this paid internship. I didn't somehow get this paid internship. I worked my butt off to get it, and I applied to it and I got it. But I felt not I kind of fell into and like backed my way into it. So I didn't quite have the focus that you did. So I did it from the opposite perspective
Yeah.
of, this is what doesn't work, people. Like, you eventually get there, but I can help you get there a lot faster than
No,
just
and
figuring
that
it out.
experience works just as well. And understanding is like the same thing. When I work with a lot of career coaches, I can tell you how I can help career coaches, because for the first 4 years of me and my career coaching business, it didn't work. Like every single client that I helped made more money than I did. Right? Like every single client that I worked with got a job making more money than I was making as a career coach, right? And so like good for them, but not for me. And
Uh,
so but I learned, right? Like you learn from your mistakes, and you learn to say, okay, if I can go back, how do I help others avoid those things so they don't have to go through the 3-4 years? They don't have to go through
exactly.
all their savings, their 401k, credit card debt before they figure it out, right? And so that's the beautiful thing about like working with a coach that has walked your path and has been able to like share those lessons so that you don't have to get burned touching the stove. They already warned you about it.
Exactly. I learned a lesson so you don't have to. that's
Right. Exactly.
That's yeah, and I have a similar. I call it a questionnaire, a confidence, clarity questionnaire, and it goes to the same thing. What are you good at? And not
Yep.
only, and I always ask them, what are you good at, and what do you like to do? Because oftentimes we do things that we really good. Like, you might be really good at Excel. I'm not, but some people are really good at Excel, but they hate doing it. So
Yep.
yeah, mark put that down, but also know that you don't like doing it. So if
Yeah.
there's a job that requires you to work with Excel all the time, maybe that isn't the job for you to apply to, because you don't enjoy doing it. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. There is I was gonna say, I know, I was gonna say, absolutely. There is this. I don't know if you've. I'm not looking this way. If you guys are watching this, because I was just googling it really quick. There's back. So I've been doing this podcast for now 5 years now, over 300 episodes. This is probably like the first 50 episodes. A good friend, his name is George, and he talked about this concept called ikigai. It's a Japanese concept meaning for the meaning of life. And so I'll share my screen for all of you who are either on Spotify or on YouTube watching this. But you're gonna see this is, to me, a really great graph when you think about clarity. So finding clarity is when all these four things intersect: what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and what we can be paid for doing, right? Because if you're good at it and you can get paid for it, it's your profession. Great. That's awesome. If you're good at it and you love it, it's more like your passion. If you love it and the world needs, it becomes like a mission. What you get paid for and what the world needs is a vocation. But if you can find something, so for me, is that career coaching. I love career coaching, right? I think the world needs it. I think we should normalize career coaching, right? I found a way to get paid for it. Not the first 3 years. Gosh, man, that was tough. And I think I've gotten really good at it. I think it's like anything else, you get good at it. And so I think I found my ikigai, and I think this is not something you do this overnight, right? Like it's not something that kind of happens overnight. But to your point, when you say you're in design in your design era, you have to design this life. And this could take months, but it could also take decades for you to finally get to the point where you can do this, right? And for me, as I look back and saying, okay, I finally have an amazing career coaching business, right? That I'm good at, that I love, the world needs, and people are willing to pay for it. But that probably took 20 years of all this experience. I had to learn how to sell. I had to learn how to market. I had to work for a big company myself. I had to be a recruiter. I had to be a hiring manager. I had to go through all these experiences to be able to do this successfully. And so I think it's super interesting though. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, it's a much more succinct and visual way of doing it as opposed to I'm like, oh, it's kind of like this.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, it's
it
such,
does, and you're not. I would be suspicious of someone who figures that out very quickly. I'm like,
yeah, yeah. I think unless you're like born like like Tiger Woods that found golf earlier on because of his dad or something like that, where I think those are exceptions, not the rule. And for you to compare yourself to that 1% of people that maybe I don't know, maybe destined to do something like that, and they find it so early on. I think it's really tough. It's like I think that's what's so dangerous about social media is that we start comparing ourselves to somebody else's highlight reels, right? No one's
yeah,
putting the negative stuff on social media. They're only putting the good. And so if you're comparing your career with the people who are saying, I'm happy to announce I got a job at Google, you don't know what the struggles that they've went through. You don't know how many times they've been rejected. You
exactly.
don't know about the whole story. You just know that I'm happy to announce posts that went viral. Um, and so, but this, I mean, I feel like we could talk about clarity forever. Let's talk about confidence. Why does confidence then play such a big role in job searching?
Well, I mean, think about it. If you have someone like take your energy, for instance, you can tell you're in sales. My husband's in sales, so I recognize the vibe. Like you come in with energy, confidence. I mean, I instantly like I said, I have that vibe. Become I'm like I don't know if he knows what he's talking about, but I bet he does. As opposed to someone who knows, like they know their stuff, and they're coming, they're like, so I like to talk to people about coaching, and I think I'm really good at it. I don't know. There's two different things, and yeah, I'm not really big into faking it till you make it. I just think for most of my clients, and I think particularly because I'm going to say women a lot, but for women, we've already made it. We don't need to fake it. You just need to let the world know. And I'm constantly telling my clients, I'm like, what are you talking about? They've like written books, and I find this out like 2 sessions in. What do you mean you wrote 5 books? What are you talking about? What do you mean you're the mayor or whatever your town? What are you talking about? Because we're so used, and be honest, society also has taught us to play small. And that doesn't mean you have to be arrogant. And I'm also a big believer in it's not arrogance if you can back it up, you know? and and if people say you're arrogant, but you're killing it and you're not being cruel, you know, that be arrogant if that's their definition of arrogance. But you have to go in confidence, not just outwardly out confidence. Confidence really comes from inside. And
Yeah.
so I really work with my clients to build their confidence to believe in themselves as much as I believe in them, as much as their colleagues believe in them, because you're getting promoted for a reason. Like
Yeah.
you're killing it at work. You did well in your life. This wasn't a fluke. You're 45 years old. You have not had a lifetime of flukes. That's not going to happen. So having that confidence in yourself translates into life in general, not just in career. But I'm a career design coach, so for careers, it matters not only just in interviews. Before you get into interviews, like you were talking about, you had going back to your spray and pray, and you said you had students or people coming out of college, and there's plenty of things they're remotely uh,
Hmm.
qualified for. I have women who are completely qualified and won't apply for a job because they're like, I think that level is too high.
Yeah.
or I only have 8 out of the 10 things they're looking for. Like, are you killing? Okay, no, we're not doing that. What are you missing? In quotes, So it's a lack of confidence that they're holding themselves back from their greatness. So it
Yeah.
means everything. I mean, I can't even choose one or the other. I mean, I guess if I had to choose one, I guess I would choose confidence because then you can get clarity when you got the job. But they're really equal. They go hand in hand. The whole clarity and yeah, clarity and confidence. So that's why it's so important in life in general, but particularly in careers.
Yeah, I have also found that with minorities and women in particular, they're selling themselves short, and it's this need of, I think I need one more degree, or I need one more certification, or I need one more of something, and they think that that gives them the confidence. But like, the reality is they're qualified already, and they're just not applying for the jobs because, to your point, they'll look at a job description and they're not 100%. And you have to like, you have to remember, like, even most of those job descriptions, that's like a wish list, that's not a mandate
Exactly.
list. It's like, it's somebody's Christmas wish list of the ideal purple squirrel candidate they're looking for, and that doesn't exist. Um if you don't apply for the job, you're 100% not going to get it. And if you apply for it, even if that is a 1%, 1% is better than 0%. And so, like what the great Michael Jordan says, you're going to miss every shot you don't take, right? And you're right. I think it comes down with confidence. And the reason why I think confidence is such a big deal. So if you're listening to this as a job seeker, you have to understand that every company, regardless of its size, right, has limited resources. Google, Apple, Amazon, the US government, they have limited resources. They can't just go hire everyone looking for a job. They can't go hire every software engineer. They can't go hire everyone. And so when they hire someone, they have to make sure that it's a good investment. And when you look at an investment, you look for two criteria. What's my risk versus my reward? And if you walk into an interview and you don't believe in yourself, then why should they believe in you, right? And so you have to believe in yourself and your ability to do the job, and be there also long term. But anyways, I would digress on that topic forever.
No, well, that totally makes sense, though. The other thing I part of having confidence is having confidence in yourself also means being confident being yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
I think people overlook that. They think that they should change to fit into a position or a company culture, and then they wonder why they're miserable. And I found that um, once I was like, whatever. It's not so much I don't care if I get this job or not, but this is who I am. If they're going to hire me, let them see who they're getting. And again, like dating, I'm not going to sneak in. I'm
Yep.
not a representative. This is me.
Yep.
Actually, this isn't me. This is my vacation here, me. But um, so it's having that confidence in yourself. So when you go in and you are yourself, they're hiring the real you. And so you
Yes.
don't have to pretend to be someone that you're not to fit into a culture that's not one that's suitable for you for whatever reason. And it's okay if it's not suitable for you. Not every hammer, wait, no, I guess every nail is a hammer. But anyway, not every job is for everybody. Not every company
Yeah.
culture is for everybody.
Yeah, that is so true because people are, as they're getting into interviews, they try to be this person that they're not, right? And you can fake to be anybody you want for a couple of hours. What's going to happen when you're there 40 hours a week, right? Maybe you do it and you get away with it in week 1, week 2, week 3. But 6 months later, your real self will show up, and if it doesn't click with the company culture, you're going to have a miserable time, and then you're going to go back to the job search process. And so I think you're right. I think, like, it's what I tell my clients is, like, you should be posting on LinkedIn and talking about, like, yourself. And I'm not saying go into politics or religion. I'm actually just talking about how, like, talk about building your personal brand. And they're like, well, Daniel, what if that's going to turn off some companies? I'm like, good, because it will also attract some companies, and it's going to attract the companies that match you, what you're looking for, and match your culture, and that's where you want to end up anyways. And so totally fine if somebody is like, I don't know if I would hire her. Great, because if they did hire you and you're going to work there, you're going to be miserable. So you don't win with that. So lastly, the last C, you have clarity, confidence, last but not least, communication. How is
Yeah.
that so important?
You're like the segue king. You were talking about posting on LinkedIn. So that's part of a communication is knowing your brand, your professional brand. Like, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to do? And I'm a big believer that your brand should also be aspirational. It shouldn't just be like, I'm this. This is what I've done in the past. It's like, well, what do you want to do? You can just add that on as a tagline. So communication is really what you're communicating to the world, whether it's through networking events, LinkedIn, your resume, and like just meeting people on the street. I don't know if I meet people on the street, but wherever you're meeting people or you're talking to people, it's communicating, for lack of a better word, your value. What do you bring? Who you are, and that's what's like you said. That's what's going to get you hired. People are like, I mean, I was in the New York Times the other week, and it was just because I was on LinkedIn. She was like, "Oh, I saw your stuff on LinkedIn, and seemed like you knew what you were talking about confidence." And so let's can I talk to you for an interview? And that got me in the New York Times. And so, and from just posting on LinkedIn. So there's the communication and confidence and clarity about what I wanted to do. When I talked to her, I was very clear about what I wanted to get across. So all of that like you get it back. What you put out, you get back. So if
Yep.
you're not putting anything out, you're not going to get anything back.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Less than 2% of people on LinkedIn create content. And so what happens, less than 2%. And so what happens is that, LinkedIn, like any other social media platform, is incentivized to have people spend more time on that platform because they can run more ads and they can generate more revenue. And so the reason why it's so beautiful that LinkedIn, when you write a content and you might be like, well, Daniel, good for you. You have 85,000 plus followers. I only have less than 500. I'm like, yes. But LinkedIn is incentivized that to show that to other people who they think is going to be relevant. So there's a reason why, even if you go to my post, you see a lot of people who are second and third connections who are liking my content because it's being shared outside of my circle, right? Well, if you look at other social media platforms like the Instagrams and the Facebook that are more established, they not only share it to the other people, they're like share it to a percentage of your followers and connections because there's everyone's posting there. And so you're going to get seen, and you guys, listeners, will be surprised the amount of times that our clients are getting like messages about interviews that lead to offers because they're posting on LinkedIn, and they're not posting as an expert. They're posting on like, here's what I learned in class, or here's the last certification I got, or I went to this networking event and I met this amazing people, or I saw this article on data science and let me break this down. Or it's just so interesting, like how we're limited by our creativity, but creating a personal brand and communicating on LinkedIn is just such a hack, such a great,
Yeah.
great hack.
And you don't even have to be creative. You could just take someone else's thing, repost it, and just put what you think about it. Like, so
Yep.
you're helping that person by spreading, like expanding their network and let people see them, and you're establishing like, hey, I'm kind of in the know because I saw this one thing that I'm putting up. So yeah, it's you don't have to be super creative. And going back to what you were saying about like I have so many followers, but I only have like 7. Okay, Daniel didn't start with as many
I,
followers. I didn't start with as many
last time I
followers as
checked, I
I.
started with zero, just like everyone
Yeah,
else.
yes. Well, I think I had one, and that was my other profile that I was trying to figure
Yes.
out. I followed myself. I was just going in a circle. But yeah, you have to start. And that's
Yeah.
the most important thing I always tell people. You have to
Yeah.
start somewhere. And don't despair about what you haven't done yet. You and don't despair at all. Just get started. Just
Yep.
post that one thing. Just, hey, how are you? Well, don't just put how are you guys doing. Like I said, if you
Yeah.
don't know what to post, repost someone else's post and just say what you thought. Even if it's just, I thought this was interesting. What do you guys think? Something like that.
Yep.
Something really simple.
Absolutely. I think in the beginning, don't track likes and views. Track how many posts you do a week. So create like a routine for yourself. But look, Lauren, we can talk about this forever. So before we kind of wrap it up, look, if people listening to you love the 3 C's, want to learn more about your coaching packages, want to learn more about you. I also know you're doing amazing LinkedIn Live every Tuesday. By the time this goes out, ours would already be out. So, but tell us a little bit more about your services and how can people listening to this and want to learn more about you can get a hold of you?
You can find me on tychecoaching.com, TYCHE coaching.com. Obviously, I'm on LinkedIn all the time under Lauren Young Durbin. And so, yeah, my new coaching package is Unstoppable You. And I'm very excited about it. And that's the coaching, the career design package that I've designed where I work with women to figure out exactly what they want to do next. Like, where have you been? Where do you want to go, and help them get there in a more intentional way. And it doesn't have to be changing jobs. It's just being more intentional in how you move in your career. Yeah, and I have the Taiki Tuesday talks. We're having a Taiki Thursday talk tomorrow.
Yeah.
um, Daniel and I. If you can't, if for some reason, I think it's going to come out later, but it's going to be on LinkedIn, so you guys can look at it whenever. And also, I started a YouTube channel. I'm very excited about that. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
all over the
So we'll
place.
no, we'll put a link to your website as well as your LinkedIn here so that people can connect with you. Lauren, thank you so much for
Thank
uh,
you.
being here. And if you're listening to this, if you gain value in this, if there's someone you know that might be looking to gain more clarity, confidence, and just better communication, this is the episode to share. That would be that would mean the world to us. So thank you so much for listening, Lauren. Thank you for being here, and catch you guys all in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.